The rumble of engines shook the walls of the small-town gas station as a convoy of heavy motorcycles pulled up. Chrome glinted under the sun, leather vests adorned with skulls and wings shimmered, and the air filled with the scent of gasoline and loud rock music. Locals usually kept their distance when this crew, known simply as the Iron Serpents, rolled through town. They were the kind of men people crossed the street to avoid. Towering, tattooed, fierce-looking. But today, someone, braver than all of them stood in their path. A little girl. She couldn't have been more than 8. Her hair was tangled, tied into 2 uneven braids with frayed ribbons. She wore a faded pink dress, dirty at the hem, and mismatched shoes, 1 sneaker, 1 sandal. In her small hands, she held onto a rusty old bicycle with 1 missing pedal, the paint chipped and the chain barely hanging on. She walked straight toward the biggest biker of them all, a mountain of a man with a silver beard and arms thick as tree trunks. His name was Bear. He was wiping down his handlebars when he noticed her. At first, he thought she was begging for candy or asking for a ride on one of their bikes. But the moment she looked up at him, he froze. Her eyes weren't just sad, they were desperate. "Excuse me, sir," she said softly, voice trembling but steady. "Can you buy my bike?" Bear blinked. The rest of the bikers fell silent, turning to watch. He crouched down slowly to her level. "Why do you want to sell your bike, little lady?" She clutched the handlebars tighter. Her lower lip trembled. "Mommy hasn't eaten in 2 days." The words hit him harder than any punch ever had. "My bicycle is still good," she continued earnestly. "The wheels work. I can give it cheap. Just give me $10. Please. I don't need it anymore. Mommy needs food." For a moment, Bear didn't move. No one did. The group of men who had faced bar fights, prison breaks, and bloodshed, stood there speechless, staring at a child offering up the only joy she had in exchange for survival. One of them quietly removed his helmet, wiping his eyes. Another swallowed hard and looked away. Bear finally spoke, but his voice wasn't the usual gruff growl. "What's your name, sweetheart?" "Lily." "Lily," he said gently, placing his massive hand on the little bike, "I'm gonna buy your bike. But $10 ain't enough for something this special." She blinked in confusion as Bear stood, walked over to his saddlebag, and pulled out a thick roll of cash. He flipped through it and peeled off several bills. "Not 1, not 10, $500. I'll give you this," he said, placing it in her small hands. Her eyes widened like saucers. "500, for this bike." Bear smiled softly. "Deal, but only if you show us where you and your mommy live." Lily hesitated, but then nodded. And just like that, the most feared men in town followed the bravest girl they'd ever met. Lily led the convoy of roaring motorcycles through cracked streets and faded neighborhoods. The bikers rolled slowly behind her, engines rumbling like thunder but spirits strangely quiet. People peeked out their windows, confused, an 8-year-old girl walking confidently ahead of a feared biker gang like she was their captain. They stopped outside a crumbling apartment building with boarded-up windows and graffiti on every wall. Lily turned to Bear with a shy smile. "This is it." The bikers exchanged looks. The place wasn't fit for a stray cat, let alone a child. Bear motioned for the others to stay back as he followed her inside. The hallway was dim and smelled of damp carpet and cigarettes. Lily stopped at a peeling door labeled 3B and gently pushed it open. "Mommy," she whispered. The room was nearly empty. No couch, no table, just a thin mattress on the floor, an unplugged mini fridge, and a single window letting in weak light. On the mattress lay a woman, pale, fragile, no older than her late 20s. She tried to sit up, alarm flashing in her tired eyes when she saw Bear. "Lily, get away from him," she gasped. "It's okay, Mommy," Lily said quickly, placing a hand on her mother's arm. "He's nice. He bought my bike so you can eat." The woman's eyes trembled. You sold your bike." Lily nodded proudly. "For $500. The mother looked like she might pass out, not from hunger this time, but from shock. Bear stepped forward and knelt respectfully at a distance. "Ma'am," he said softly, voice gentler than she expected. "We don't mean no trouble. Lily told us what's going on. We just wanna help." Tears welled in the woman's eyes. She covered her face with her hands. I didn't want her to, she shouldn't have to." Bear glanced around the barren apartment. "When was the last time you ate?" She hesitated. 2 days ago. I gave Lily the last soup packet." That was all he needed to hear. Bear stood up and turned to the hallway. "Boys," he hollered. Within minutes, the Iron Serpents moved like a rescue unit. 2 bikers sprinted to the nearest store and returned with grocery bags full of bread, fruit, canned goods, and enough meals to last weeks. Another knelt by the unplugged fridge, plugging it in and checking if it still worked. One pulled tools from his pack and started fixing the squeaky, broken front door. Another set up a portable heater from his saddlebag. Lily watched in awe as the apartment transformed, not into luxury, but into home. Bear sat beside the mother again. "What's your name, Sarah?" she whispered. "Sarah," Bear said, voice steady but now carrying an edge. "Lily said you lost your job." "Why?" Sarah hesitated, her eyes dropping in shame. She clenched her hands tightly. I was a cleaner at a storage warehouse, but the owner, he..." Her voice cracked. "He told me if I didn't go to dinner with him, alone, he'd fire me. I said no." Bear's jaw tightened. "He fired me the next day. Then," she swallowed hard, "he doubled my rent." The air turned electric. Bear rose slowly, his knuckles cracking like thunder. "Boys," he growled, "we just found the snake." The Iron Serpents were many things, loud, rough, terrifying to most, but above all, they were loyal. And if you heard one of theirs, even if she didn't know she was theirs yet, you'd answer for it. Bear got the landlord's address from Sarah. No court documents, no lawyers, just one muttered name and a street. That was all he needed. By nightfall, 20 bikers were lined up outside the large suburban home of Richard Halston, a smug-faced property owner known around town for being strict but successful. His success, as they now knew, came from bleeding the poor dry. The roar of motorcycles shattered the peaceful neighborhood. Curtains moved, lights flicked on, people grabbed their phones. Richard came storming out onto his porch in silk pajamas, furious. "What the hell is this? You can't just show up here and..." "Sarah Miller," Bear said calmly as he stepped forward. "Ring any bells?" Richard blinked, then scoffed. "If this is about rent, that woman is behind. It's not my..." In one swift motion, Bear grabbed him by the collar and slammed him against the porch column, not hard enough to injure, but just enough to make his soul leave his body. "Careful what you say next," Bear said quietly. "Because I don't hit men smaller than me, but I make exceptions for rats." Richard trembled visibly, his arrogance vaporizing. Wait, I didn't do anything wrong. She was a terrible worker." "Oh really?" Bear growled. "You doubled her rent because she wouldn't let you buy her dinner. That sound like business to you?" Gasps erupted from nearby neighbors. Phones were pointed at him from every angle now. Richard paled. You have no proof." "Sure I do." Bear turned slightly, looking at a biker holding up a phone. "I got your texts. All of them." Lily showed us her mom's phone. He hadn't actually seen them yet. But Richard didn't know that. His face drained of color. I was just joking." "Funny," Bear snarled, tightening his grip. "Nobody's laughing." He released Richard, letting him stumble to the ground. Then he crouched down in front of him. "You've got 2 options. 1, you refund every cent Sarah ever paid you, write her a letter clearing her rental history, and donate a fat stack to the shelter down the road. Or 2, Bear leaned in closer, voice turning to ice. "We make sure every tenant you've ever played games with knows exactly who you are. And trust me, nobody wants to rent from a landlord who preys on single moms." Richard looked around at the phones, the neighbors, the bikers. He broke. "I'll do it," he cried, hands shaking. "I'll write it now, please, just don't ruin me." Bear stood and looked down at him with disgust. "Ruin you? Nah, we don't ruin people, we just show the world what they already are. 2 days later, Sarah held a check in her hands large enough to pay off her debts. Her rent was cleared. She had job offers from 3 neighbors who'd seen the video. Lily, meanwhile, stood outside their apartment as the Iron Serpents rolled up again, this time carrying something shiny. A brand new bicycle, pink and glittering with streamers on the handlebars. "For me," she gasped. Bear grinned. "For the bravest girl we've ever met." She hugged him tightly. "Thank you, Uncle Bear." Bear froze, then patted her head gently. From that day forward, Lily didn't just have food. She had a family. In the town, it had a new legend. No one messed with the poor again. Not while the motorcycles still roared.